Hey guys, today we're going to be doing our biochemical test. The first step we're going to do is actually just make sure our lab is sterilized and clean. Then we're going to take our mock lab equipment and we're going to get started. So our first test is with the starch agar plate. This is called a catalase test. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the first test we're going to do is actually the hydrolysis test, amylose hydrolysis. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sterilize our loop in the micro incinerator for 10 seconds. And then we're going to let cool. And then we're going to take some of our source broth culture and we're going to shake it. Take the cap off. And then I have an arrow here because we're going to put it in the micro incinerator, place the top part in the micro incinerator for 2 to 3 seconds. And we're gonna let cool. And then I'm gonna take my loop and I'm gonna dip it in the source culture, put the cap back on, and I'm gonna draw a line not too close to the center. Then I'm gonna take my loop, sterilize for 10 seconds again, and let cool. This will be incubated at 37 degrees Celsius for 24 to 48 hours. Our next test is going to be using a casein agar plate, and we're going to use a loop again. Make sure that's sterilized for 10 seconds, cool it off. We did that. And now we're going to basically do the same thing. We're going to shake it up, take the cap off, place the cap top part in front of the micro incinerator for 2 to 3 seconds. I will then dip my sterilized loop, and then I'm going to draw one streak not too close to the center, and we've put the cap on, and this will incubate for 37 degrees Celsius for 24 to 48 hours. Our third test is using tryptone broth, and we're going to use a loop again, and we're going to inculate one of the tubes with E. coli, inculate another tube with E. aerogenes, and we're going to inculate the third tube with an unknown. And once we've done that, we're going to incubate for 37 degrees Celsius for 12 to 48 hours. And we're actually going to add a reagent, I believe, before we incubate. And it's going to be 10 drops of Kovacs reagent, which is right here in our reagent cabinet, which is why I have an arrow. And we're going to take this and we're going to place, we're going to open our cap, sterilize for 2 to 3 seconds, and then we will take our Kovacs agent, put 10 drops in there, and then we'll have that incubated at 37 degrees Celsius for 12 to 48 hours. The last 3 parts of the biochemical test 1, we have a urea slant and the printer cut off, but this is a side view, this is a face-on view. And our first step for this urea test is that we're actually going to be using a needle instead of a loop. And we're going to sterilize our needle for 10 seconds in the micro incinerator, let cool off. And then we're actually going to take our source culture, and we're gonna take the cap off. I have the arrow here. We're gonna place this in front for 2 to 3 seconds. We're gonna let cool. I take my sterilized needle, drop it in. It's 3/4 way. Sorry. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna sterilize it again before I put the cap on for 2 to 3 seconds. Let cool off. I'm gonna place the cap on, and actually there's 2 different ways you do this. With the side view, as you can see, I have a straight line. That's called stabbing. So I'll show you how we do that. We're going to take the cap off, place it in the micro incinerator. So we can also draw a line here, place it in the on the micro incinerator for 2 to 3 seconds, and we're going to let that cool. We have our source culture on here, and we're just going to stab it because this is a side view. And then we're going to take this again, sterilize for 2 to 3 seconds right here. Take it back to this thing, and we're going to put the cap on. We're going to repeat our steps again, and then we're going to take our cap off, place it micro incinerator for 2 to 3 seconds, let cool. We also need to sterilize our our needle, sorry, for 10 seconds. And then we're going to take our source culture cap was already off, but we're going to sterilize for 2 to 3 seconds, get some source culture, sterilize once more, place the cap on. This cap is already off and sterilized, so we're going to actually just squiggle or squeak because it's a face-on view. Sterilize once more before we put the cap back on for 2 to 3 seconds, let cool, put the cap back on. And then we're going to take our needle, sterilize one last time for 10 seconds, and we're going to let cool. And our 5th test is using a microscope slide. And we're actually going to take a marker, pretend this is a marker, and we're going to draw 3 circles actually. And then we're going to go to our reagent cabinet, and we're going to take the hydrogen peroxide, and we're going to place the hydrogen peroxide, a drop in each circle that we have. Then we're going to grab a stick. I guess pretend this is a stick, and we're gonna obtain a bit of culture to place on each of these circles with hydrogen peroxide. I'm gonna place it in the micro incinerator, 10 seconds, take off my source culture cap, place it in the micro incinerator for 2 to 3 seconds, let cool. And then I will take my stick that's been sterilized, and we're gonna attain a bit of the culture and apply that culture to our circles over here. We're gonna sterilize this one last time, 2 to 3 seconds, get that cap on, and then we're gonna observe for formation of bubbles. And our last step is, our last test for biochemical test 1 is cotton swab for oxidase test. And we're going to be using sterile swab packages, and we're going to remove a swab by the handle and open the first culture tube and touch the growth to the swab. So this is our culture tube that we've taken the cap off, sterilized for 2 to 3 seconds, and then we've gotten the cotton swab, touch the growth, and then we're actually gonna take, we're gonna go to our reagent cabinet over here, and we're gonna place 1 to 2 drops of oxidase reagent onto the growth swab, and we're going to be very careful. 1, 2, and the goal is to just observe a color change, and that will be all for the biochemical test 1.